tolerance for news or politicians really quite limited. So yesterday when I saw the news of Joe Biden attempting to pretend he's alive,
I just have one thing to say. Hang on here.
Get it out there, curmudgeon.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
And now he's dancing off rhythm.
I'll tell you, my man.
It's like an old man trying to figure out what's in his
I'll
socks.
tell you what,
And he
if I
doesn't
had
want to
to tell
know.
them any one of these people, I'd be elected president by acclamation.
Riveting, Joe. Riveting. So when you hear this on the news and when you see it, they're making you think it's Miami. But it's not Miami. He's in Kissimmee, Florida. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with my new state, my home state now, and the greatest state as far as I'm concerned, mainly because of the ocean and thongs and whatnot. Kissimmee, Florida is outside of Orlando. In fact, it has a little area called Celebration where a lot of Disney executives and the Disney people live because it's kind of like a mini Disney. And I'm a huge, huge Disney fan. But it is not Miami, baby. See, Miami-Dade is kind of like a Cook County. Miami-Dade, Broward. These are sewer, Democrat, East Coast run, mafia'd up counties. And they have a lot of problems. That's where, for Andrew Gullum, all of a sudden the 50,000 votes appeared out of nowhere. It's a rough state. But there is a massive, massive stronghold in Miami of Republican people and values. They're called the Cubans, who fled Fidel Castro, which, by the way, aside from a uniform, he's a lot like an American Democrat. Very, very similar. It's the same kind of neo-Marxism, promise of utopia while being held captive, like Illinois. That's what's in Miami. And now here's the thing about Miami in my life. I have a special connection to these Cuban refugees because my dearest friend in life, a man who's like my brother, was Cuban. But when you're 5 years old, you don't know anything. You don't know about that. You just are friends, right? And we're friends. After I punched him in the face, my mom made me apologize. That's another story. But anyway, growing up in Melrose Park, an Italian neighborhood, guys who weren't named Vito and Anthony and Joey and were named Sean were kind of put on the who's this guy? He doesn't look like us, and his name is Sean, just like that Cuban kid over there whose name is Ivan. He's not one of us. So you're kind of like outsiders. So through that years of friendship, we lived across the street from each other. His mother and father became my mother and father. I'm sure like many of you and your friends and their parents. But this was kind of a unique story. See, in 1959, when Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, who shows up on the kid's T-shirt, the murdering scumbag that he was, literally machine-gunned thousands of Cubans. When he took over, some people, like my friend's father, were here going to school. He was in college. His mother, however, was in Cuba, where their family was slaughtered, like many of the other Cubans who wouldn't capitulate to American Democrat / neo-Marxist ideology. That's the way Fidel Castro took care of it. And then throughout the years, people don't understand the complexity. It's more than just the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's actually about a prison island called Cuba, where it is so desperate that to this day, young men and women take to the ocean after putting motor oil on themselves to swim 90 miles, knowing full well they have a very small chance of hitting America. So this is the kind of delusion your kids are under when they're taught this neo-Marxism, Fidel Castro, American Democrat policies. They have no concept. That's why yesterday when I said they're children, intellectual children, they don't know what they're actually asking for. But the American Cubans do. And the American Cubans, let me tell you something, they are hardcore Americans. That's why what'll save this country are people leaving these oppressed communist countries who understand how beautiful the concept of America really is before it was bastardized by the American scumbag Democrat and some Republicans. So he won't go down to Miami, even though it's a corrupt Miami-Dade County state, because he don't stand a chance there. See, because those are the people that came here literally with nothing. Nothing. And that's why a lot of my views about immigration are different than your standard cheerleader Republican, because I understand the complexities. That's why I think this country is a beacon for freedom. It should be an attraction for people all around the world. Now, since that view, that there are a couple things that go simultaneously with that. I believe we should welcome here to give them the opportunity. I don't want to welcome them to a welfare system which should be abolished for everybody, including Americans. All of that should be taken through personal charities, and by the way, it would run 10 times more efficiently, just like everything does. And that isn't run by corrupt slob politicians. Boy, that's a segue into Pritzker, boy, if I ever saw one. But I don't want to take that exit ramp just yet, because I want you to understand. In Miami, we're among immigrants who understand the dangers of the very Marxism that is the Democrat Party. You see, they're well aware of it. I know this because I go to Florida often. And I deal on both coasts. I have a presence in Naples and I have a presence in Lauderdale and Miami. And the one thing I have in Miami is a dear friend of mine. He became a friend of mine through happenstance. He's a Cuban-American whose family was slaughtered, all but him and his brother. By the grace of God, he literally got here on a bunch of tires. And by the way, not that long ago. He's only 64 years old. And since he got here, he became a player in capitalism. He started parking cars, much like the Tony Montana story I always tease him, without the cocaine. He slowly moved up the ranks of buying his first condo that he wanted to live in, but had an opportunity to rent it out and never lived a day in it. And from that condo, he went on to build a real estate portfolio that is being looked at by hedge funds. That's just what he did. And he did it the whole time with menial jobs. He's not super educated, but what he is super smart. And what else he is? He's super American. You see, he loves this country, greatest of all. And he funds a lot of the rallies that politicians go to. And as I talked to him earlier today, he let me know he's too afraid to go down among people that have fled other countries for freedom, for liberty, and for America. Don't be so quick to judge immigrants. A lot of them are here for the right reasons, and a lot aren't. Because here's an idea that you're never going to hear on radio. People are individuals. There's really no such thing as a forest, just trees. There's really no such thing as a society, just people. If we could get back to those principles, I think we'd be a lot better off and start thinking about people that wanted to be America, to come to America and be Americans for the opportunity of freedom. Not for welfare, not for Section 8 houses, not for all of these things we know doesn't work and we know destroys countries. That's why they left them. So have faith in these people, because there's a reason that the coward, that the old man in diapers went to kissing me. And now you know where he's going to go? He's going to go to Tampa. Why? Because Tampa's a Democrat stronghold and also broke. When people tell me about real estate, where do you want to buy? I think I want to buy in Tampa. Absolutely not. And by the way, my father lives outside of Tampa. Absolutely not. It is run by Democrats. The reality is, whatever that philosophy touches, it kills. It's a cancer of failure. And I'll tell you what I mean. I was watching the news here in Chicago the other night, and they're all excited. America marijuana, the tax revenues alone from Chicago marijuana, Illinois marijuana, tax revenue, $19 million in a month. 1 month. They sold $60 million worth of weed to morons. Now, here's the biggest part of it. The vast majority of that money that they use to buy it is from government. It's a subsidy of some sort. Whether it's their phony stimulus or their phony unemployment, or they're just too depressed to leave the house so they get the money walking around cash after the Section 8. Here's the reality. That's not real revenue to the state, and it will fail. See, a welfare state eats its own tail and pretends to be a good hunter. It's wrong. And that's why the only hope of Illinois is now organized crime economics. We got dope, gambling, and subsidized housing. And that's why Pritzker, the winner of the Loin Lottery thanks to Mommy and the lap dance, he's a little nervous now.
This is a nightmare scenario.
Today, a dire warning about drastic cuts if Washington doesn't help.
Drastic?
The Illinois deputy governor and
What's
Pritzker
drastic?
budget director sent agency heads this memo urging spending restraint.
So this morning, my administration sent notice to all of our cabinet directors to prepare for the possibility of cuts of at least 5% for the current fiscal year.
Oh, my God. 5% spending cut? You mean after you just passed that big phony budget, which really banked on phony money? You moron. How stupid do you have to be a Democrat? It is a question that will bother me to the end of my days. Are there this many people in those incubator jobs just waiting for that pension? Are there this many size 58 short suits walking around out there just waiting for those mystical, magical pensions that you can't see how corrupt and failed this idiot's policies are? And this is the same guy that took away your livelihood. You're worried about 5% to the state employee? Why, you arrogant, clueless moron without a neck. I don't want to forget that part. The audacity of this buffoon to come to we the people who he's literally put out of work and under house arrest. You're going to cry about 5% to those donut connoisseurs you call state employees? I got news for you, kids. That's how you know it's time to call Liberty Real Estate Services. See what I did there? And get the hell out of here. It doesn't matter. You're not going to win. You already lost. When that's the ideology of the governor, who, by the way, we're all constituents, fatso. And when my wife gets mad at me when I say that, what am I supposed to call him? Skinny? You're a grown man. You let yourself look like that? What are you, big-boned? What's your medical excuse for that? Little marijuana munchies? Because he's selling that stuff to your kids. See, to me, that's what's offensive. In my old neighborhood, there was no such thing as a drug dealer. None. So all the wise guys would make sure they go around and nobody was able to peddle that stuff to kids. That's this idiot's economic plan. And what the hell is going on here? I'm curious. You know what the question is? If you're not leaving, what's the answer? I want you to give me your answer of how Illinois is safe. Because I get these calls all the time from the people who don't like me because I'm not a rah-rah Republican cheerleader. Bill Brady and Pat Brady, morons. And the other one with the family who's lobbyist, Durkin. Morons, feckless morons. So what's your plan in the future? 312-642-5600. I'm going to open the lines. We'll take your call. Staying, leaving, how do you fix it? When we get back.
From AM 560 to the campaign trail, Steve Cortez is on special assignment with the Trump campaign. But don't worry, he'll be back after the election right here on AM 560. The Answer.
There are a lot of tough questions when thinking about caring for aging parents or loved ones. Most importantly, can they stay safe at home? With Home Care Angels Home Services, they can. Home Care Angels has been caring for seniors in their homes with compassionate and holistic non-medical care for the past 15 years. The Home Care Angel caregivers are certified in dementia care, COVID-19, and in-home care. You'll get highly qualified caregivers carefully selected for your loved ones to help with activities of daily living, meal prep, light housekeeping, or 24/7 live-in care. Due to COVID-19, they've taken extra precautions and implemented protocols consistent with CDC guidelines to ensure the quality and safety of all their clients. Home Care Angels is in Des Plaines, Illinois, and services all of Chicagoland and the suburbs. To request a free in-home assessment, call 847-824-5221. That's 847-824-5221. Home Care Angels is a proud member of the Home Care Association of America.
There will never be a dispute over whether fruits and vegetables help supply the nutrients your body needs to build a strong and healthy immune system, which is vital in protecting you from outside invaders, such as bacteria and viruses. Balance of Nature provides you with all your recommended servings of fruits and vegetables with a combination of 31 different organically grown whole fruits and vegetables every day. They come in capsules, which can be taken in less than 10 seconds at a cost of about 22 cents per serving. Why wait? Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Honey, what are we going to do with your grandparents' old coins and jewelry?
I'm pretty sure they're worth some money.
You've been saying that for years.
Okay, how about PGS Gold and Coin? They're the best when it comes to selling family valuables.
And you know this because...
PGS. When it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
Isn't that the place Jeff sold his grandmother's jewelry when she passed?
Yep. He checked out pgsgoldandcoin.com and found tons of positive reviews. He was blown away by how much he got. Do you? Oh, you're already on the site.
Almost. pgsgoldandcoin.com.
PGS Gold and Coin, the upscale way of selling your coins, jewelry, diamonds, and collectibles. Family owned and operated for over 10 years. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau with 3 Chicagoland locations, and they make house calls. PGSGoldandCoin.com or 888-416-2701. That's PGSGoldandCoin.com or 888-416-2701.
PGS. When it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
Tell him AM 560 sent you.
AM 560, The Answer.
Animals strike curious poses.
Now you're talking. This son of a gun, huh? Loved him. What happened? He had cousins come out of the woodwork when this son of a gun died. Boy, oh boy. You know why? People ask me, why do you fight all this all the time? You know what it amounts to? And we could take a lesson from Prince. You know what your entire life is? It's that dash between the day you're born and the day you die on your tombstone. It's your whole life. You better start standing for something, because nobody's going to give a rip about you if you just went along to get along and waited for your check every month. Bums. Art, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Splendid, splendid. You know why? I'm getting the hell out of here, Art, but you tell me why I should stay.
I'm not going to tell you why you should stay. I'll tell you why you're smart to leave.
Oh, all right. Well, go ahead.
The Tea Party and the Republicans don't get along in this town. Did you know the Republicans of Wheeling Township took the Tea Party off their email list?
Really?
And the Republicans of Wheeling Township did not run anybody to run for the 53rd district House seat, for the 53rd District of the House of Representatives in Arlington Heights in the state of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have anybody running for Congress against Raja in the 8th District either. Why don't the Republicans have anybody running for Congress in the 8th District? Why don't the Republicans have anybody running in the 53rd District for the Illinois House of Representatives?
Art, because...
Those are reasons why the Republican Party is brain dead and needs to be replaced by something or somebody.
You know why I've never given money to groups? Never, ever. Only to people. When it comes to politicians, and I'll be honest with you, very little money, is because second place pays real well. In fact, when you really look at the kind of money that these scoundrels bring in, and that the reason that they have their families set up as lobbyists is because they love their Potemkin fight. So the answer to me, Art, and by the way, you call me when you want to go to South Florida. The real reason, I got a lot of tuition to pay for. The real reason is, because I don't take that free stuff. The real reason is there's more money in second place when people of good intentions want to fix it instead of recognizing what's here. Drago, I love the name. How are you?
Very good. My comment is we can't fix it because these politicians are a reflection of us, the people that put them in the office, which tells you that majority of voting body is made out of crooks and mentally challenged people.
And Drago?
So there's no hope for Illinois.
I always love your calls, Drago. And you know something? That's the reason I don't wear the mask. What am I going to do? Save these guys? Pfft, kidding me? Something in my body takes good. Jay, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Splendid.
Okay, it's just not going to happen. The only way this state gets pulled together is if somebody like the national GOP comes in, fires all the GOP clowns, Two-Face and his buddy Joker, and they're all gone, and they put in new, fresh people, and then maybe we get an influx of votes and we take back the state. It has to be someone outside, because the insiders are all corrupt.
You want to know something? You're exactly right. The only problem is, Jay, it's not going to be the GOP. It's going to be the FBI. That's what's really going to happen. Everybody's quiet as you watch these mafia figures all Valachi each other. Yeah, that's Seldasar, whatever the hell his name is. He's squealing like a pig. No reason to get Pritzker's attention. Drew, how are you?
Hey, Sean, I'm doing great. Sean, I know you're a real entrepreneurial kind of guy. Here's a couple ideas for you for why you should stay in Illinois.
Okay.
We're going to legalize fireworks, so why don't you go into business with Crazy Kaplan from Indiana, open up some outlets.
All right.
Legalize prostitution as well, so maybe you can, that might be another business too.
I think they legalized prostitution. They call it lobbying.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
Yes. And you know what? You gave me an idea. How about a whorehouse that sells fireworks?
Oh, that's great.
You see what
I
we
like
do?
some
We
action.
come up with things here on this show, baby. All right, we're going to call it Drew and Sean's. I may go first. But that's the reality. It's the only kind of people that are going to make it work. That's all. Why not? I got a friend with a couple of those. Did you see what they did to lap dance places during the COVID? Oh, basically put them out of work. I was waiting for Stripper Lives Matter. How come there's no organization, Stripper Lives Matter? You'd think there would be. Not according to Pritzker.
The memo also advises to prepare for 10% cuts next year. The governor says the pain can be avoided if Congress and the White House strike agreement on a coronavirus relief package.
If we don't receive support from the federal government for our cities and our counties, you've already...
So he wants a bailout. This is about free money from states that are run correctly without the corruption. I'll tell you what, if that happens, it's really over with. How'd you like to be a sucker living in another state that's run efficiently, that's now funding the bailout of this moron, this corrupt fraud? You know, like Amtrak. Did anybody catch that on the news last night? Amtrak, which the federal government gave $479 million to a year ago. Let's say it again. $479 million. So actually, Metra. So they could pretend to have a business and wear their little costumes with their pillbox hats and pretend to actually be something of society, aside from all the money we've already given them down the road. They have 10% of the ridership prior to COVID. Now, see, politicians are too stupid to figure out that's because 90% of the businesses are gone. 90% gone. So what do? They spend $1 million, $1 million on an ad campaign so you could watch a couple of overpaid cleaning people spray seats with alcohol bottles. Only a government could make that kind of stupid decision. That's the dumbest damn thing I've ever heard. You see why you don't give them more power? You certainly don't bail them out, and you certainly don't fund them. And look at how he squeals, and the double entendre is intended. Look at how he squeals when they got to take a haircut of 5%. How many of their tax increases have destroyed 15%, 20% of our income? How much does your property tax increase destroy of your income? How much does your insurance premium skyrocketing for your income? He doesn't give a rip about you unless you're one of his foot soldiers. 312-642-5600.
AM 560's Steve Cortez is on special assignment working on President Trump's re-election campaign. He'll be back after the election in November, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Need new windows, but reluctant to subject yourself to aggressive salesmen, phony offers, or a shoddy installation? There's a better way to shop for replacement windows. Woodland Windows and Doors. New windows can turn an old room into a favorite, add character, or lower energy costs. But we know it can be daunting. That's why Woodland is with you every step of the way, helping you decide what works best for your home. Stop by our showroom to see brands like Marvin, fresh colors like Marvin Contemporary Black, and take home a copy of Marvin's Replacement Guide that walks you through key replacement decisions. After 50 years, Woodland has seen a lot of shop-fatigued homeowners walk into their showroom and walk out energized because they never pressure, push, or make false promises. Woodland delivers a great product at a fair price, and they're not satisfied until you are. Stop by the showroom at the corner of Lake and Gary in Roselle to pick up a copy of Marvin's Replacement Guide. They'd love to see you. Or go to woodlandwindows.com and request a free consultation.
This election in November is the most consequential since 1860. The stakes are incredibly high. The battle lines are stark. That's why you need to see Dinesh D'Souza's latest film. It's called Trump Card, double entendre intended. And it's an expose on just the corruption, gangsterism, in socialism, which is the Democrat Party. Whether it's the creeping socialism, the fraud one where they put up that cardboard character in diapers, Joe Biden, or it's the totalitarian evil that has destroyed nations around the world. Trump Card is the most important film you're going to watch. Watch Trump Card at .com. Go on. Go to Watch Trump Card. I should probably read a little better. Go to watchtrumpcard.com. and pre-order your video. You can do it right now. You don't want to miss this opportunity. It's the most important new film by Dinesh D'Souza. You can pre-order your DVD and or video or you can watch it through the World Wide Web. If you go right now to TrumpCard.com. That's watchtrumpcard.com.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM560 mobile app and radio.com.
The vaccine prediction. Good afternoon. It's 83 degrees in Chicago at 5:30. On AM 560 The Answer, I'm Tom Beck. President Trump this afternoon said a coronavirus vaccine will get out to the American people quickly.
This is the largest, fastest, and most advanced vaccine distribution effort in American history by far.
He said American industry and the military are lined up to distribute the vaccine once it's approved. He predicted it could start getting out to people in mid-October or shortly after that. He suggested seniors in nursing homes or other vulnerable populations could get the vaccine first. Metra has launched a campaign to try and lure commuters back to the rail service during the pandemic. My Metra will show steps Metra has taken to create safe riding, including sanitizing cars and stations and requiring the wearing of masks. A man was shot and killed at a CTA Red Line station on Chicago's north side last night. Police said he was inside the Moore station when somebody shot him. No word of any arrest or a motive. On AM 560 The Answer, I'm Tom Beck.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
It's that time of year again. Time for Freedom Summit. And this year will be unlike any other. We're taking Freedom Summit north of the border. Join AM 560 for Freedom Summit 2020 on Saturday, October 31st at the Abbey Resort in the Lake Geneva region of Wisconsin. This year's lineup includes Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, Larry Elder, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by High PSI and by Douglas Automotive. We know that sometimes it might be difficult to hear AM 560, like when you drive under that bridge, or you get too close to power lines, or when you're surrounded by gigantic concrete and steel buildings, which is why we've made it easy to listen to us whenever you want, wherever you might be. We're always streaming at 560theanswer.com and on the AM 560 mobile app. You can also get us on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and we're on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. You can listen wherever and whenever to AM 560, The Answer.
Capital One checking and savings accounts have no fees or minimums and a top-rated banking app that lets you manage your money anytime, anywhere, even from your favorite hiking trail. With Capital One's app, you can check your balance, deposit checks, pay bills, and transfer money from wherever you are anytime you want, even when you're cooking dinner. Open a fee-free checking or savings account online in about 5 minutes. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
The northbound side of I-55 at a standstill from I-80 on up to US 52, where all lanes are blocked on up to US 30. Now, this is cleanup and investigation of an earlier multi-vehicle injury accident. East I-80 stop and go from I-55 on over to US 30. Headed north on the Tri-State, jam from Archer on up to Plainfield Road due to an earlier accident. Southbound Tri-State stop and go from the Eisenhower back down to Plainfield Road. Kennedy outbound 14 to the Split 10 in the Express, 33 on out to the airport. Inbound from O'Hare 35, 18 off the junction. Eisenhower outbound to 390 in 52 minutes. Inbound at Racine, crews just cleared a crash. 390 back in at 50. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges. On AM 560, The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Overnight, we'll see mostly cloudy skies. Expected overnight low of 60. Thursday, breezy with some sunshine. Thursday's high, 67. Friday will be cool with times of clouds and sun. Friday's high, 62. I'm Drew Shannon on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Insurance Guy. Tune in Saturday afternoons 4 to 5 for The Insurance Guy with Steve Lischewitz, president of SVL Insurance Group.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yes, the 80s. T-tops, mullets were not just for rednecks. Simpler time, simpler time. I'm always proud to be joined by great guests. And we are joined by S.A. Miller. I'll tell you what, he's not going to tell you what the SA stands for, so don't ask him out there. And the other thing is, he's the editor at the Washington Times for Politics. So if he didn't have a bald spot, he's got one now. How are you, SA?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Splendid, splendid. I was reading your article, and I found it intriguing because I have to tell you, I am astonished at how many Americans both are willing idiots to the dangers of socialism or are demanding the economic policy of Marxism. So this article at least gave me some hope.
Yeah, I don't know how broad that appeal of Marxism really is out there, because the economy, still everyone's top issue, and that is one area where President Trump still dominates in this race, and it's the issue that's keeping him competitive in all the swing states that he needs to win to get back to the White House. And he's been able to do something that I have to tell you I criticize. See, I don't like collectivism of any kind. I'm an old capitalist, which there's about 6 of us left. But what I've watched him do, which is really, to be honest with you, impressive to a certain extent, he's navigated populism to the effect of kind of making it somehow work in the public eye. And he's done that. Ironically, what I thought would be rejected by Republicans has been accepted. And granted, these are very strange times. COVID is, it's unprecedented. But he's done that through basically people having trust in him. Would you agree? Yeah, people trust him on the economy. He won with a message that challenged the Republican Party. He carried it out with measures that challenged, conservative orthodoxy, with imposing tariffs and forcing, people to the negotiating table to redo these trade deals, and it paid off. And I think people see that, even mostly people outside of Washington, and see that in their daily lives, that the economy's better and jobs are better, and manufacturing jobs are coming back, is something that people said was impossible. So I think that he earned that trust in a large part. And he did something else that I like, even though I'm calling you from the Democrat mafia capital of Chicago, Illinois. But he did something I really like, is when he changed the tax structure, he basically said, if you're dumb enough to live in these states with extremely high taxes, both income and whatever the case may be, property, we're not going to subsidize you anymore. And he took away that SALT deduction that really, I think, put an emphasis on just how poorly run the 22 Democrat-held states, which, by the way, are all in bankruptcy, how bad they really are run. No, I agree with that, yes. And I think it underscored for people, where the problem was. It wasn't, with the federal government squandering their money. It's their local and their state governments. Yeah, so I want to ask you, do you think he's going to hold ground? Do you think he's going to be firm? Because I did a segment before you came on. The idea that states that have been run fiscally responsible and honestly would bail out these mafia hub Democrat states is outrageous to me. Do you think he will, in fact, hold firm on that? Well, if you're talking about whether there's going to be some kind of a big funding for states and local governments in another coronavirus relief bill, it doesn't look like there's going to be any new coronavirus relief bill. So I don't know that he has to do that much to stop that from happening. That's one of the key sticking points for on Capitol Hill. The president hasn't backed off that point. I don't think he would. And there's other problems as well. And I can't imagine at this point, if they were going to give in on that, they would have done it already. Now, the reality is, just a month ago, 1 month ago, Joe Biden was up 16 points on national polls. Today, he's within the margin of error. And the most important indicator, as far as I'm concerned, are the gambling sites. And they have it at a toss right now. I'm wondering, is it going to be the reality that the COVID action by America was so wrong, and that Trump really kind of throwing things on their ear by saying, if we're going to give bailouts, we're going to give them directly to the people. And for the first time that I'm aware of, in American history, stimulus checks went directly to people with the signature of Donald Trump on them. Do you think that has something to do with it, and people are frustrated by the lockdown states like mine? No doubt. The people, I travel around, let's not usually do it in an election year, but I've been traveling around a little bit, and everywhere I go, people are frustrated with the state governments shutting them down, upending their lives, for now over 6 months, stopping people from just going about their normal activity and going back to work in some kind of normal fashion, which people more and more, I believe, think is an unreasonable protection against a virus, that mostly hits people who are already sick or elderly, and there would be other ways around this. So yeah, I think there is a backlash against that. I believe the person who's going to benefit from that is President Trump.
And I was reading in your article, it's an interesting dichotomy here. What you have is even when Biden is up in the state poll, when asked about the economy, what happens with Trump?
Well, they don't. Well, ask about the economy. They still think that Trump is the person who's going to be better for the economy. Even I was in Pennsylvania, in a Rust Belt area, Bethlehem, where the old Bethlehem Steel was, and Pennsylvania now has one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. But the people weren't blaming Trump for that. They were blaming their governor, the Democrat Tom Wolf. They were blaming China for the virus. And they were looking to Trump as someone who was, if he had his way, things would be improving, things would be getting better.
Do you think that he's, I want him to explain a little bit more how much it's benefited the American people, his policies on American energy, and what he's done for industries like oil and coal?
He could be hitting that more, and I think you probably will be. The more you're hearing about the Build Back Better agenda from Joe Biden and his which is not friendly towards the U.S. domestic energy production and fracking and things like that. Although he tries to avoid saying that, that's where he's at. And I believe in the next couple of weeks, the president probably will be hitting that message harder. Because especially, that's something that should resonate, and across these Rust Belt states that are so important to him: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin.
Do you think, in your opinion, Republicans for the most part understand? I understand it's an unprecedented time. When you really take into consideration what exactly has happened with spending, with deficits, with debt, that it could actually work in the favor of Trump, who's, massively increased these things. Because the idea of what Joe Biden is promising is so much crazy. It's literally a crazy amount of spending. It's a crazy amount of taxes. Do you think, ironically, that Trump putting this kind of debt on the Americans back, this kind of spending, could actually help him from a conservative point of view? Is that possible? Could you think about that while we go to break? S.A., do you mind? We're going to go to break.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, because it's a complex little scenario where for the first time, a Republican adding massive amounts of debt and spending could actually help him, for fear what's next is worse. We'll be back with S.A. Miller after this.
In the final 100 days before the election, President Trump knew it was time to call in the closer to seal a victory. And the man he called was AM 560's Steve Cortez.
There is nobody that loves this country more than Steve Cortez. Steve.
Steve will return to the air after the election, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Steve Cortez. You all know how much I love MyPillow and how much it's changed how I sleep. So when Mike Lindell came out with a new mattress topper, I couldn't wait to try it. I have to say, I don't know if I love MyPillow or MyPillow mattress topper more. It's that good. Get ready for the best sleep of your life. Mike's exclusive 3-layer design includes layer 1, MyPillow foam support. Layer 2, transitional foam to help relieve pressure points. Layer 3, ultra soft patented temperature regulating cover. Comes with a 10-year warranty that's washable and dryable. It's made in the USA and backed by MyPillow's 60-day money-back guarantee. Get the total body support you need and better sleep you want. Right now, save 30% on MyPillow mattress toppers when you use the promo code STEVE or call 800-489-0201. When you do, you'll get 2 standard MyPillows for free. Again, the promo code is STEVE. Call 800-489-0201. Promo code STEVE.
Now that you're spending more time around the house, have you noticed that maybe a few things are needy?
Call Crumweedy.
Crumweedy Home Pros. There's no better investment than your home, and Crumweedy is open, doing proposals and booking jobs. Get a virtual consultation. It's easy and we'll show you everything about your project from the comfort of your home. How it looks, what it costs, everything. This is a great time to
Call Crumweedy.
Siding, windows, and roofs. All with no money down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. And there's more. Half-price installation on siding, windows, and roofs.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Call the exterior experts, Crumweedy, Mark Olson, and Greg Olson of Crumweedy, a third-generation family business that's been doing Chicagoland exteriors now since 1953. It's all about trust, and they truly share your values.
If your home is needy,
Call Crumweedy.
630-595-8020. Or just remember, homeisneedy.com. Homeisneedy.com. Crumweedy Home Pros.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085.
AM 560. The Answer.
S.A. Miller's definitely going to, he's loving the music. I don't know how you can't. I mean, I really liked the 80s, not just because of Reagan, Mr. Miller, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm concerned about the debt and the spending, and I want to know what you think. Can it be leveraged to not turn it over to the tax and spend Democrats?
You know, that is really, I haven't heard it put that way before. That is really an interesting way of looking what's happened here. You know, they've piled on, you know, for this coronavirus crisis, it's about $3 trillion in extra debt. We're now, you know, I think that's underscored how much debt's out there. We're approaching, I believe, $27 trillion in U.S. debt that you know, successive generations are going to have to, you know, deal with, and perhaps we're going to have to deal with it sooner than we think. And I think that does get to the point of what a Biden-Harris administration, what their agenda would mean for those numbers if they're going to, you know, start, you know, spending on the types of projects that they've outlined, and it's just going to, you know, multiply that situation and lead. You know, I mean, they've even admitted that they're going to be raising taxes to start paying for this stuff. So we're talking about more debt, more trouble in the future, and higher taxes for everybody. And, you know, that is a big difference between what President Trump is talking about. And I think it's something that he should be able to capitalize on the campaign.
Now, S.A., I think people forget the stagflation that took place under Barack Obama. See, that's really the economy we had. That was an economy that only existed by certain ticky-tack targeted industries and sections of the economy that Barack and Biden approved of. I was an old commodity guy. I still have very good friends that are in that hedge fund world. I'm seeing them kind of stay on the sidelines. In fact, many projects are waiting till after the election. I think the reaction to a Biden-Harris administration could be swift. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not in one of the green sectors that they're going to favor, whether it was the electric cars or whatever that you saw during the Obama years, you're going to be in trouble. And I imagine people are holding their money in their pockets and waiting to see what happens for fear of being on the wrong side of that administration.
Now, you're the editor in politics at the Washington Times, and I remember after September 11th, which we just had the anniversary, it was the really one time in my lifetime where both Republicans and Democrats simply wanted to make things work, to fix it, even though, what I think 90% of their reaction was wrong. They came together when it came to terrorism. A massive milestone, something that really was unheard of, just happened days ago. The United Arab Emirates, Israel, what's the other one? It just escapes. That's it. Bahrain. They all came to an agreement, which by any definition is amazing. Yet it received virtually no attention. Has politics devolved so much that we can't come together to recognize an achievement like this?
Well, it would appear that way. You're right. It's been. This was the first. First it was the UAE, the first country, to normalize relationship with Israel since Jimmy Carter was in the White House. Quickly followed by Bahrain. By any measure, it was historic, and you even saw. The front page stories in many newspapers were immediately attacking the deal and undercutting it and saying that, this isn't all it's stacked up to be. You would have thought that everyone would have recognized that and given him some credit, but it seemed like, but whether it was the partisan divide on Capitol Hill or the divide in the media, we're in a new world where.
Yeah, where the American Democrats are siding with the countries that are really responsible for the conflicts in the Middle East and a lot of the terrorism. I mean, it's astonishing to me that we can't agree on something so basic as an achievement for the country. And in a future that could very well have a presidency that we don't know about for months after the election. I mean, if you really look at things. And there's
and it's the same with the coronavirus. You would think that the country would have pulled together more in supporting the search for a vaccine or a proper treatment or what to do, rather than turning it into a blame game. For how many people died.
Well, S.A., I want to thank you very much for joining me. My name is Sean Thompson. I really appreciate it, and I want you to remember, I'm the guy that came up with that question. You thought was interesting. That's a high point in the career. So thank you, S.A. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure.
We'll be back after this. Thank you.
From AM 560 to the campaign trail, Steve Cortes is on special assignment with the Trump campaign. But don't worry, he'll be back after the election, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I've got a 7-year-old and I'm a 47-year-old, and he's just learning to skateboard, and I was a skateboarder since 1980. He had been begging me all week to prove to him that I could do a kickflip, because he really hasn't seen Daddy be an active guy. I do all that at work, and when I come home, I'm exhausted. This weekend, I had to haul a whole bunch of pallets to the back of the house because I was using them for projects and stuff. And all of a sudden, I'm outside skateboarding with my son, and I'm doing kickflips and other tricks I haven't done in 20 years. And I'm like, this isn't me. This is who I used to be, but this isn't me. Maybe I need to change my language now. This is me. What I have been for a while has not been the real me. So it's amazing what the body can do when it's fed the right thing, It just can heal itself.
Balance of Nature is now offering 35% off on any new preferred order. Go to balanceofnature.com today and use discount code Chicago.
Huh? What did you say? Speak up. I can't hear you.
Do you have trouble hearing phone calls? Do others ask you to turn down the volume on the TV? Can you hear a conversation clearly in a noisy restaurant? Untreated hearing loss can cause major problems and major frustration. If you or a loved one suspects they're experiencing hearing loss, schedule an appointment immediately. Contact Dr. Nancy Congdon, licensed doctor of audiology, at the Hearing Care Clinic in Downers Grove. The Hearing Care Clinic is a professional office providing expert evaluation and hearing care recommendations. State-of-the-art testing equipment will evaluate your hearing so you can make an informed decision on how to hear what you may be missing. Now is the time to have your or an aging parent's hearing tested. Visit Dr. Nancy Congdon at the Hearing Care Clinic in Downers Grove, dedicated to helping you and your family hear their very best. To schedule an appointment, go to thehearingcareclinic.com. That's thehearingcareclinic.com today.
Novelist Alexander Solzhenitsyn exposed Russian corruption, cruelty, and injustice. He confronted Americans that had lost faith in their country, its institutions, its principles, culture, traditions, and way of life. He faulted America for its abandonment of its own moral and especially spiritual ideals and identity. Solzhenitsyn viewed the West's weakness as the fruit of materialism, consumerism, self-indulgent individualism, immorality, and narcissism. Introducing I, President, a voice that says something worth saying in a way that is worth listening to. Real voices plus real convictions equals real results. I, President of the United States, a voice of hope for the next generation. Join us on an unforgettable journey to impact the world. Go to ipresident.com, a place to raise up those voices. ipresident.com.
Fifth Season Financial is a licensed lender, not available in all states. Visit fifthseasonfinancial.com for details.
Are you or a loved one suffering financial hardship as a result of an advanced stage illness like cancer, Alzheimer's, or ALS? Are the financial side effects of your medical fight reducing your quality of life and causing stress and worry? Did you know that you could be eligible for a special loan to access funds locked up in your life insurance policy? Text the word LIVE to 411-411 now. Fifth Season may be able to help you address your financial needs through our Funds for Living program. This simple-to-use program helps you access value that is locked up in your life insurance policy by lending you money against the face amount of your policy. This loan is not like other loans where you need to make monthly payments, and it only gets repaid out of the proceeds of the life insurance policy. Visit fifthseasonfinancial.com/radio and get approved quickly. Fifth Season Financial wants to help you live your best life. Text LIVE to 411-411. Text the word LIVE to 411-411.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
All right, when we get back, I've got Jazz Shaw from Hot Air. We're talking about New York, Denver, Minnesota, the apocalypse, and how we're all going to survive dystopia in the event, God forbid 1,000 times, of a Biden he won't know it victory after Fox News.
Vaccine distribution on track. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's the claim from President Trump as he says the vaccine for COVID-19 will be ready next month or a little bit later. And soon after, it will be ready for the American people.
We'll be able to distribute at least 100 million vaccine doses by the end of 2020 and a large number much sooner than that.
Earlier this afternoon, CDC Director Robert Redfield said the vaccine could be broadly rolled out by the middle of next year or a little later. The president said he thinks Redfield misinterpreted the question from reporters. The president's November opponent, Joe Biden, went after the president earlier today for the administration's response to the pandemic.
Biden again criticized President Trump for how the White House has dealt with coronavirus.
The president's first responsibility is to protect the American people, and he won't.
Biden said the easiest thing people can do to prevent COVID spread is what the president himself won't consistently do: wear a mask. Biden says doctors he's talked to recommend uniform national guidelines
and standards on social distancing that can be applied to in particular circumstances of states and communities based on their particular circumstance.
Biden also said now is the time to prepare for how any COVID vaccine will be distributed. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
A slow-moving tropical storm Sally flooding Alabama and the Florida Panhandle.
It is hazardous. Do not try to go out in there. There could be power lines down in the water. Don't try to drive your car through it. It's something that you could very much regret. So it is potentially in certain areas life-threatening.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, but he warns as the rivers crest, areas that weren't flooded initially could still be affected. A dusk to dawn curfew in effect in Pensacola for the next 3 days. America is listening to Fox News.
With all the noise and political spin of the news cycle, it's easy for the things that really matter to get lost. Sources with Knowledge cuts through all the clutter to bring you biting commentary on the week's events. This Sunday at 3 p.m., your hosts Eric Cohn and Joe Kaiser bring you insight on politics and policy, as well as culture, sports, food, and everything else you need, so you can understand what's happened this week. It's Sources with Knowledge, this Sunday at 3 p.m., right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Did you miss the open enrollment this year? I can help you purchase a PPO health insurance plan all year long that eliminates the mandatory maternity coverage. This is Tom Marabali, your health insurance advocate and independent producer for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and other major medical carriers. If you're 50 and are covered by the Affordable Care Act, you're paying for maternity coverage whether you want the coverage or not. In Chicago, the least expensive ACA PPO health insurance plan is $570 per month with a total out-of-pocket cost of $8,150 before your bills are paid at 100%. I can eliminate the mandatory maternity coverage and lower your monthly premium down to $480 per month with a total out-of-pocket cost of $2,500 before your bills are paid at 100%. That's a savings of $5,650 in total out-of-pocket cost per person with my lower deductible. For a free quote and to see if you qualify, call me, Tom Marabali, at 630-863-3477. That's 630-863-3477.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Don't miss Lowe's Just for Pros event through September 25th. Get in on innovative products from Metabo, HPT, and Spyder through virtual demos and live chats. Plus, get deals in store and on Lowe's4pros.com. U.S. only.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer. From the AM 560 Traffic Center.
The northbound side of I-55 is at a standstill from I-80 on up to US 52, where all lanes are blocked on up to US 30. Now this is cleanup of an earlier multi-vehicle injury accident. East I-80, that's hefty from Hobart on over to US 30. Kennedy outbound 17 to the Split, Express Savia 5, 36 to the airport. Back inbound from O'Hare 44 minutes, 20 of that off the junction. Now on the outbound side of the Eisenhower at Wolf Road, getting word of a crash. Circle on out to 390 and 48. Inbound jam-packed from Laramie, California, with a crash blocking the left lane. 390 back into the circle at 44. Stevenson outbound from the drive to 355 and 45. The outbound Ryan, 22 minutes downtown out to 95. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBantis on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Mostly cloudy skies overnight. We'll see an overnight low of 60. Breezy Thursday with some sunshine. Thursday's high 67. It'll be cool Friday with times of sun and clouds. Friday will reach a high of 62. I'm Drew Shannon on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Steve Cortez will return after the November election. Filling in for Steve while he's away on special assignment with the Trump campaign is Sean Thompson.
Now, you guys know that hotair.com is the home screen on my phone. I haven't liked Drudge Report for 3 years, long before he made the turn to I don't know what the hell he's doing now. But it's always been hotair.com, and I've got some of my favorite writers. In fact, I've even given some great nicknames to a couple, but I don't have to nickname this one because it's the best name in internet news. Jazz Shaw How are you, Jazz?
I'm doing fine, Sean. How are you on this not-so-fine evening?
Listen, brother, I'm in Chicago, Illinois. Are you kidding me? As long as nobody's shooting at me, I guess it's an upside. But, yeah, I'm hanging in there. Now, when they hand me your stuff, they give me stuff from yesterday. They don't know. You're my home screen, baby. I want to talk about the stuff you just kicked out hours ago. Hundreds of Detroit ballots don't list Mike Pence as VP. This could be a problem.
I'm not sure how much of a problem. I think it's more of a signatory of the potential this could happen in a lot of places. But, yeah, there were a bunch of people that requested ballots, and the ballots were downloaded. These are military members. They are people requesting absentee ballots because they're out of the country. And if they had gotten the ballots that were downloaded from the system at that point, they claim they've corrected it since then, they would get one that didn't actually show the name of the president's vice president as his running mate. It was either a blank spot or it was some guy who I've never barely heard of, who's like the vice presidential libertarian candidate. And if you fill that ballot out and send it in, sir, does your ballot get counted, or is it a destroyed ballot?
Jazz, this is Chicago where I'm talking. I mean, they've been perfecting this voter fraud for a millennium. And I'm going to tell you
what are
right.
we telling you, right?
I'm going to tell you right now, it's amazing to me. And I remember in the 70s, I remember in the 80s when the Democrats were against this. Do you think, in your opinion, now I'm going to tell you, a friend of mine, he's 80 years old. His son moved out of the house 30-some years ago. His son just got the ballot. The daughter got the ballot right here in River Forest, Illinois. And, I mean, do you think that they just did this to create just the chaos at the end so they have to say, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. What's your opinion on it? I know what you wrote, but I want to know what your opinion is.
I think that's a part of it, Sean.
Okay.
But I realize you're in Chicago, you've got the whole Daley family and everything. You got to remember, I'm in New York. We have a real long history going back a very long time of people messing around with everything. So, yeah, I mean, if you can sit there and create confusion, if you can create a situation where, we need to scrutinize each of these ballots when they come in because there may be improprieties, and then they start kicking ballots out. And then you have the question left over of, well, who's doing the examination? Who's deciding which ballots get kicked? I don't know. I don't want to sound like too much of a cynic, but, yeah, that's just an invitation for a lot of mischief that people probably don't want to see.
So my great-grandfather came from Italy, and he was in New York, and he had to leave for something or another. I think he had an argument with somebody, but he had to leave, and he came to Chicago. That's how we're here. He used to say, New York invented political corruption. New Jersey perfected it. Chicago made it an art form. So we're all on the same page here, which brings me to your next article about Warner Wilhelm, also known as de Blasio. New York City to have its best week ever as mayor furloughs himself. Can you explain that one to the people, please?
Yeah, the title, I apologize in advance. The title is completely disingenuous. The mayor is going to take his entire staff and force them all to take a 1-week furlough without pay because the city is broke, because it's been so poorly managed. And so everybody can take a week off. But the mayor, the same guy who killed the groundhog on Groundhog's Day a few years ago, is going to keep working, and even though he won't be paid at the same time. And his wife, who ran this series of incredibly corrupt systems that cost the government hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, will also have to furlough her staff of 14 people. Yes, the mayor's wife has a staff of 14 people getting paid by the taxpayers, even though she's never been elected to any office, holds no elected office, has no responsibilities, but she has a staff of 14 people that cost the taxpayers $2 million a year. They're also going to take a 1-week furlough. So
Wow.
we're all in good shape now, apparently.
Yeah, I'm looking at her picture, and apparently there's no hair or makeup people in there. Wasn't she also in charge of another project that lost a ridiculous amount of money, something to do with colleges?
Well, that was one of them. She was in charge of 3 projects about racial equity. The first one you mentioned. She's been put in charge of several projects. Oh, yeah, the first one was to help homeless people, good cause, certainly. And like $1 billion disappeared, and nobody could show what benefit was made by that effort.
I thought all the detectives lived in New York. What the hell are these people doing? They can't. I mean, this is big money they're missing.
It's fairly big money. I mean, like all the furloughs that the mayor is doing are going to add up to like $800,000, which is a lot of money to any of us. But in terms of the budget of New York, I mean, they already slashed $8 billion out of the New York Police Department budget because you want to abolish the police, and that didn't save them. So this is just a little piece of showstopper stuff. It's like he's going to lay everybody off for a week, and then they come back and go back to the same mismanagement. But no, they need to come up with a lot more money because, the pandemic wiped everything out, and mismanagement, riots, all the damage from all of that. Getting rid of the mayor for 1 week, that's not going to solve anything.
So, Jazz, my real job is a real estate broker, and I'm in South Florida. And when I go on showings, you know who's leaving those showings when I'm walking in with the people from Chicago? Are New Yorkers. In fact, you guys are now doing what our people have done, where you are losing. I read something, Manhattan has like 40% vacancies in residential and something crazy in commercial that they're simply not putting it on the market because they don't want to implode it. How much losing do they have to do before somebody says, can we stop and maybe change something?
I don't know if that happens in New York anymore. What you're saying is absolutely true. A parallel article I wrote, I think last month in August, people in Connecticut, real estate agents there and movers are doing incredible business. They're like retiring early because, everybody's houses are worth like 75% more than they used to be because everybody's fleeing New York and going to Connecticut and trying to get out of the city. And it's Escape from New York. I mean, it used to be just a movie,
and
Snake people talk about it like, oh, that was a movie. No, now it's reality. People are escaping from New York.
Yeah, Snake Plissken. I tell you what, that outfit was way ahead of its time, Jazz. I tell you, I might go home and put one on for the old lady. So now that you see that they are not changing, that the prices are coming down, massive, massive hedge funds exist there. You, like us, only have ideas of new taxation. How, in your opinion, years ago, the financial institutions were stuck logistically to New York, to Chicago. Reality is that's all in the cloud now. If they go after them specifically, I know in Chicago, they're talking about just fleeing already. If Wall Street were not to be Wall Street anymore, but to be Fifth Avenue in Naples, Florida, what do you think that'll do?
Well, I think a lot of it depends on the election because we've already seen Joe Biden and the actual president, Kamala Harris, or Kamala, however you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in favor of the billionaires tax. And if it wasn't bad enough the city was already burning down and people were fleeing unless you live out in the Hamptons, they want to put in a wealth tax. And I'm sure you're...
Oh, yeah, we're very familiar with it.
Familiar with the wealth tax. And then the last people with any money who can afford to hire people and create jobs, they're leaving. They're going to go to Florida. They're probably not going to go to Chicago currently. They're going to go somewhere, marginally more civilized. And I don't know. I think this ties seriously into a bigger question that we can address with your listeners. It's like, are we seeing the end of the big cities? Because if you just gut them, not just through riots and violence, but if you turn around and flee all the millionaires out of there, and all the employers don't want to be there anymore, I mean, do we go to a more dispersed rural society? I mean, that's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently. I live in a rural area, and everything's still not too bad up here. Are we seeing the end of cities? Is that what's going on right now?
Well, I mean, they've created that climate. To me, I want them to pay for their failure. I hope so. I don't want to see them take people like you and bail out the cities, which is what they do here in Illinois. The city of Chicago controls the whole damn state. That one city in one county controls the whole damn state. And I know it's very similar to New York, which upper New York, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. And the history, it's just amazing. And you said something that I had to chuckle at, and that's Chicago and what's going on. They're not moving here. And I was reading in your article the end of the great crime decline. And I'm watching the outrage in Minnesota. And they said the year murder total in Minnesota is up to 55. And I got to tell you, Jess, that's one weekend for Chicago. I mean, that's not even a bad weekend for Chicago. And I'm wondering if the rest of the world understands how destructive these Democrat policies, which are the policies that built these ghettos, how destructive they are to the people.
Well, if you go look at that article and you look at the chart that was in there, a lot of your listeners may be younger people who grew up in the 2000s, in the 2000 teens, whatever we're calling this era. And we got used to a situation where the survey that was being referenced there, less than 1% of people for quite a while have ever found themselves encountering a violent criminal situation. But if you go back to the early 90s and then the late 70s and most of the 80s, there was a time when 3%, 3 out of every 100 people you would talk to, had been involved in some sort of violent criminal activity. And it took a strenuous effort by the government to drive those numbers down, but they did. And they drove them down, and it kept decreasing until around 2013, 2014. And by that point, it started drifting up again. And now we're seeing a real spike. And it's not just in the cities, it's mostly in the cities. But, just across the board, crime is increasing. So how do we explain that? And if you want to go back to living, Chicago is one thing, but I have more experience in New York City because I used to live there when I was younger. In the early 90s, they had 3,000 murders a year. 3,000 in 1 year. A couple of years ago, the number was down to around 310.
That's
and now
a couple
it's
months
drifting back up again. And it's like, how do you explain it? And like I wrote in the piece, it doesn't really take Einstein to explain why this is happening.
Yeah.
But if people keep voting the way they keep voting in the big cities, then as I have said so many times, and I will say it to you guys in Chicago, it applies to people in New York, San Francisco, Portland, flee.
Right.
Flee while you can. Buy guns, buy ammo, stock up. Get the hell out of there.
All right, to save the good lines for the last one, I'm going to hold you over through the commercial break. Please stay with me. And by the way, your stats about violence, now I know why my mother was so mad at me before she passed away. I was exactly the opposite. Thank you. We will be back with Jazz Shaw after this.
AM 560's Steve Cortez is on special assignment working on President Trump's re-election campaign. He'll be back after the election in November, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available. For information, visit Illinois Concealed Carry Training online at icct.us. That's icct.us.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry training programs are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. 16 and 3-hour renewal classes available weekends and weekdays.
Reduced class sizes for the near term, so space is limited. Register today at icct.us. icct.us. That's icct.us.
The following is a paid political announcement. The Springfield politicians are pushing a constitutional amendment on the November ballot.
It would give the General Assembly new powers to drastically change income taxes in Illinois.
If passed, Springfield politicians would have the power to create an unlimited number of tax brackets and raise income rates on every group of taxpayers at will, including middle-income families.
Their tax hike amendment would approve in advance any future tax increases politicians want to impose, with no limits, no accountability, and no voter approval of the rates.
And it would immediately authorize an initial $3 billion tax increase on small businesses, farmers, and large employers, further damaging our economy.
The tax hike amendment is a bad idea at the worst possible time. Join thousands of small businesses across Illinois and vote no.
Paid for by the Coalition to Stop the Proposed Tax Hike Amendment.
Friends, it's Steve Cortez here. Let's talk about mortgages and the housing market. The housing market has been an incredible bright spot within the economic recovery of recent months as our country begins to rebuild, quite literally in the case of home construction, and rebuild overall in terms of our economic renaissance from the ravages of the coronavirus. It seems quite clear that the housing sector is one of the leading drivers of that recovery. A lot of incredible data lately, including in July, the biggest month for existing home sales ever. And that's on the back of, in June, one of the biggest housing starts months ever. If you are in the mortgage market right now, I suggest you go to UnitedFaithMortgage.com. They are wonderful people, family-run operation. They're a direct lender, which means often you can get your loan processed faster and sometimes at a better rate. UnitedFaithMortgage.com.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Vrecka, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
AM 560.
The answer. Don't push me, cause I'm close to
the 90s rap, the best rap ever. Kidding me? This is what if you had a problem with a guy, you punched him in the face instead of shooting his grandmother's house up. Yeah. Jazz, your article yesterday, 9:21 a.m. I've been dying to ask you about it. New York proposes lock him up law for Trump. Come on. Really? Can you explain this to me, please?
Oh, yeah. It's already pretty much guaranteed to go in the books. So we have a state district attorney named Letitia James who ran on a platform, by the way, when she wanted to be the attorney general, that she wasn't interested in stopping crime in New York State or in New York City or anywhere else. She was going to fight Trump. Why that became the job of a state attorney general, I have no idea. But she's been going after it. But now she and some of her colleagues have got a bill put forth in both chambers in the state legislature where they're going to suspend the statute of limitations if you happen to be the president of the United States while they investigate you, because the possibility exists that they could do an investigation, find something wrong going on, and the statute of limitations might run out. So they're going to freeze the statute of limitations, not for all citizens, just for the president of the United States. And you can't prosecute a sitting president.
That's really an indicator they think he's going to win. I mean, there's a flip side to how they're looking at it, because the statute of limitations is 7 years. So if they thought he was going to lose, they wouldn't care about the statute, number one. Number two, the reality is this is why there has been this big push to go after this president on taxes versus all the other ones on taxes. Now, I understand why, because I'm in the real estate game. So I understand the loophole they're trying to hang him on, and that is the fact that when you file your taxes for real estate, you're depreciating them and arguing for their value to be lower when you're paying your property taxes. However, when you're financing them, you're making the opposite argument of, look at this value of my portfolio, and the vast majority of people don't understand that and would look at it as if he was doing something wrong versus what Nancy Pelosi's husband has been doing for 50 years.
Well, Nancy Pelosi was virtually dirt poor when she originally went into office, and she's a very, very wealthy woman. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
It's not just the depreciation thing. We have people in New York who look at the president and say, well, the businesses that you have turned over to your family, because you have to turn them over, which he did when he took office, they're still making money. And because if something happens that, well, then people are going to stay at your family's hotel or whatever, well, then that must be some sort of constitutional violation. So they're going after that. But, yeah, it's the whole statute of limitation things. I think what a lot of them forget to remember is that there are always shifts in the electorate. You know this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago we had a Republican governor in New York. Things do shift back and forth. If everybody flees New York City because it's turned into a hellhole, there could be an election where the Republicans are in charge. And they might be passing a law that allows Republicans to turn around and go, oh, well, maybe we'll prosecute Joe Biden or whoever the next, Democratic president is, or Kamala Harris is probably actually going to be the president from day one. And it's a very short-sighted measure, but I think it plays well in the media right now. So, yeah, they're pushing for it.
Yeah, well, if he's alive in 8 years, Jazz, we have other problems because I'll tell you what, there's no way this poor son of a gun doesn't know where he is. Denver police officer files ethics complaint against anti-cop citizen councilwoman. I like the sound of it.
Oh, yeah. Out in Denver, there's been a lot of the same problems you see in some of the larger cities. They don't get quite as much attention. But there's been massive accusations against the police. And there are police officers out there, including one of the chief police, who were just like, you can't just lay all the blame on us for all of this. And the woman on the council who was saying, oh, we need to abolish the police, get rid of it, they caught her on camera. And she was out there marching with the protesters and just screaming at the police and encouraging everyone to attack the police. And then if they fight back, to sue the police just to get rid of the police, And I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work, but they are bringing a case against her.
Now, Jazz, you're in the news. You watch the news. You write about the news. I need your opinion. I know it's not the common question. You think we're going to be all right through this thing, or what do you think? Think our guy's going to win, or you think we're going to be strapped with the Biden office-friendly Harris? What do you think?
I don't think it's a question of whether or not we're going to win. Honestly, it's almost, from what I'm seeing anyway, it's sort of a heads you win, tails you lose, sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden can win, and then we basically turn the country over to socialists. Donald Trump can win, and if he does, and I think that's still a very viable possibility, we've been hearing at the Atlantic, at the New York Times, on CNN, from a large number of people who are, quote, social influencers, that they're going to ramp up the violence. And the next 4 years of Donald Trump's second term is just going to be more of the hell we've been living through right now. So you tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the better outcome?
Jazz, I'm going to tell you. Yeah, I'm going to tell you when you come down to Florida and we have a cigar. And I want you to come back. Do you mind coming back before I leave?
Hey, anytime, man.
All right, wonderful. Jazz Shaw, hotair.com. Thank you so much. We'll be back after this.
In the final 100 days before the election, President Trump knew it was time to call in the closer to seal a victory. And the man he called was AM 560's Steve Cortez.
There is nobody that loves this country more than Steve Cortez. Steve.
Steve will return to the air after the election, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time. I have food allergies. I have spring, fall, winter, summer allergies. I've been taking allergy shots off and on since I was 6 months old. And my eyes run so bad up until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they'll stop. Well, my eyes have not been running at all, which is a miracle. And the only thing I've done different is the balance of nature. So I really think it's helping my allergies a lot. And I'm thrilled because it's miserable. You put your makeup on and then you cry it off. So I just feel really good. I feel like I could just do anything.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
We know that sometimes it might be difficult to hear AM 560, like when you drive under that bridge, or you get too close to power lines, or when you're surrounded by gigantic concrete and steel buildings, which is why we've made it easy to listen to us whenever you want, wherever you might be. We're always streaming at 560theanswer.com and on the AM 560 mobile app. You can also get us on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and we're on TuneIn, iHeart, and Radio.com. You can listen wherever and whenever to AM 560, The Answer.
Capital One checking and savings accounts have no fees or minimums, and a top-rated banking app that lets you manage your money anytime, anywhere, even from your favorite hiking trail. With Capital One's app, you can check your balance, deposit checks, pay bills, and transfer money from wherever you are, anytime you want, even when you're cooking dinner. Open a fee-free checking or savings account online in about 5 minutes. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
You know what's funny is that Hochberg is actually helping a family member of mine right now buy a home. That's the real commercial. But Dave, he thinks he's the Shakespeare of writing his own commercials, so I got to stick to his script. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, then you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local mortgage professionals. Today, meet Billy, a truck driver who called Team Hochberg last August to secure a cash-out refinance because Billy had a little spending problem at the lap dance place. Team Hochberg explained to Billy, you've got to stop spending that money because you're paying high interest rates. Billy paid off the $40,000 in debt. He had a good time, reduced his payment over $1,300 a month, and married one of the girls. Didn't care about the rate. When rates dropped, Team Hochberg helped Billy, whose score now had gone significantly higher to 740 because he got the debt off his card. If you'd like to use your house to pay off your strip joint bills or any other bills, then you must shorten your loan and you call Team Hochberg, 312-855-56David, or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg helped this degenerate, and he could help thousands of other people. They just have to call him. And by the way, he's actually helping a guy I love, my brother-in-law. He's the best. He's the best, the most efficient. And I trust him that much, I sent him my family member. Homeside Financial, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app and radio.com.
Incorrect timeline. Good afternoon. It's 82 degrees in Chicago at 6:30. On AM 560, The Answer. I'm Tom Beck. President Trump this afternoon said Centers for Disease Control Director Robert Redfield made a mistake today when talking about a timeline for a coronavirus vaccine.
When he said it, I believe he was confused. I'm just telling you, we're ready to go as soon as the vaccine happens.
He said Redfield put out incorrect information about when a vaccine could be available to the general public. Redfield told a congressional hearing it probably wouldn't happen until the middle of next year. The president said a vaccine will be ready very soon and distributed soon thereafter. Joe Biden said the president is not taking the pandemic seriously enough and is not taking responsibility for his response to it. He said Trump still does not have a plan and can't be trusted. Wisconsin might be re-added to Chicago's emergency travel order due to an increase in coronavirus cases there. The city health commissioner advised against traveling to Wisconsin since there is a high chance it'll be added next week. Utah will be added Friday, while Florida, Idaho, Texas, North Carolina, Hawaii, and Nevada have all been removed because their case rates dropped. On AM 560, The Answer. I'm Tom Beck.
Mike Gallagher likes the president's campaign energy.
The contrast between the Trump campaign right now and the Biden campaign is stunning. I like our chances. Led by a lackluster complete void of any energy campaign, and the president's on the campaign trail.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
There are a lot of tough questions when thinking about caring for aging parents or loved ones. Most importantly, can they stay safe at home? With Home Care Angels Home Services, they can. Home Care Angels has been caring for seniors in their homes with compassionate and holistic non-medical care for the past 15 years. The Home Care Angel caregivers are certified in dementia care, COVID-19, and in-home care. You'll get highly qualified caregivers carefully selected for your loved ones to help with activities of daily living, meal prep, light housekeeping, or 24/7 live-in care. Due to COVID-19, they've taken extra precautions and implemented protocols consistent with CDC guidelines to ensure the quality and safety of all their clients. Home Care Angels is in Des Plaines, Illinois, and services all of Chicagoland and the suburbs. To request a free in-home assessment, call 847-824-5221. That's 847-824-5221. Home Care Angels is a proud member of the Home Care Association of America.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My name is Melissa, and I bought my first home with Townstone Financial. The owners of the house I bought wanted to close in a very short amount of time. I believe it was 3 weeks. And I was fortunate to have Barry at Townstone did everything for me. And Barry at Townstone explained everything to me, did everything, and then would show me the papers, and I signed them. And that was that. It was the easiest part about closing on the house for me.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing.
Don't miss Lowe's Just for Pros event through September 25th. Get in on innovative products from Metabo, HPT, and Spyder through virtual demos and live chats. Plus, get deals in store and on Lowe's4Pros.com. U.S. only.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Traveling northbound on I-55, all lanes have been reopened between US 52 and US 30. That's after an earlier multi-vehicle injury accident. South on the Drive, bumper to bumper around the Oak Street curve on down to the Chicago Avenue light, and then jam 53rd to 57th. Northbound on the brakes from Grand Avenue back up to Chicago Avenue. Kennedy outbound 11 to the Split, 10 in the Express, 26 to the airport. Inbound at Kimball, crews just cleared a crash. O'Hare back in at 40-19 off the junction. Ike inbound struggling due to an earlier accident around California. 390 into the circle at 40 minutes. Stevenson outbound, bumper to Central. Lakeshore Drive to 355-39. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Overnight, we'll see mostly cloudy skies. Expected overnight low of 60. Thursday, breezy with some sunshine. Thursday's high, 67. Friday will be cool with times of clouds and sun. Friday's high, 62. I'm Drew Shannon on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business powered by Mirabali Insurance. Sunday evenings at 6 on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Clap your hands, everybody, if you got what it takes. Because I'm Curtis Blow, and I want you to know that these are the breaks.
Yeah. Where's that IROC Z28? My buddy Tony had one of those things. What a car. Black with the Dove gray interior. Oh, killer. I'll tell you, not like anything in the show's schedule, but this isn't going to be scheduled. I look up at WGN. Arnie Duncan. I tell you what, I can't stomach it. About the one thing about government that's consistent, the bigger failure you are, the better you do. They just keep promoting you. This guy sucks so bad at his job. What are we going to do? Let's give him a promotion. And then it helps when you play shirts and skins basketball with the next president of the United States. But Arnie Duncan is on WGN News right now. And he's apparently some sort of expert of how to stop violence in schools. Does anybody remember the Arnie Duncan years of unmitigated failure? See, do you know what's going to happen now with this COVID nonsense, this complete mistaken overreaction, government profiting action, is that these schools that have really let the kids down, really, prior to COVID, what they did and the kind of citizens they built, they're going to get a reprieve here because all these kids are cheating. You realize that. The online learning, it's one big grade feather bedding scheme. All the kids, all cheating. It's online, damn it. I mean, my favorite, there was a video of a guy whose kid took a picture of himself, a self-portrait, put it on a piece of cardboard, put it up where the screen is on, and he's behind the chair leaning, looking up stuff. I mean, it's such a scam. And you know what? The Chicago public school system and these public schools, they love that. They want to look like they're achieving things. But the reality is, these citizens, these are products of the education system. You realize that, right? That's why when I look at these kids, I feel terrible for them because they don't know anything. They're mad about things they shouldn't be mad about. They're under the illusion that if only we turned our life, our property, and our money over to government, everything is going to be okay. So I'm looking up Arnie Duncan because, you know, I'm sure he's involved in a couple of those hedge funds that all Barack's friends were. You know how they all made $1 billion and have inside money from different foreign companies and whatnot. Well, it turns out Arnie Duncan wrote a book. You know the audacity of this moron. And everything you touch is worse. I got an idea. Let's write a book. But they have one line from his book, which I found very interesting. I start this sentence. Education runs on lies. And you know, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? The last thing they want to teach kids to do is to question anything. They're not teaching them how to think. They're teaching them what to think. That's something that really is something that's new to our country over the last 50 years. Now, in the time frame of a country, 50 years is a short amount of time. But yes, it's generations here. But when you look at the intellect of even people you disagreed with and the letters that they wrote, go back to the founding, go back 100 years, go back to the early 19th century. And you look at the intellect of the ordinary man, not the successful man. I'm not talking about the guy who built the company. You know, I'm talking about the clerks in the store. And you look at their handwriting, and you look at their reasoning, you look at their ability to understand philosophies, intentions. You go back 100 years, and then you grab a kid off of the street, watch the news, and you tell me what's happened to this country. You see, that's how government profits from an ignorant society. From a society full of emotion and very little knowledge. From a society that would believe in some mystical, magical scheme of life. And it brings me to a Joe Biden clip. Because what people don't understand, your ideas of global warming, even if they're right, you're infinitesimal in the grand scheme of things. You're not going to change a damn thing. Nothing. Your breath out of your mouth, your Chevy without the catalytic converter, it means nothing. It's a planet, for God's sakes. It's so ridiculous. The argument is so ridiculous, which is why every solution Joe Biden has is about forcing you to not move forward, to not live life. They are under the impression if we could just go back to the days of cavemen and dinosaurs, then everything will be great. But they don't want you to realize out of the millions and millions and millions of years of the earth, they're only looking at 110 years of data. That's it. Do you know how stupid that is? That's like looking through a keyhole across a football field and describing the smile on the Mona Lisa, you stupid son of a gun. You know nothing. Nothing. You see nothing. And nobody embodies that more than this morphodite in diapers.
Especially since when we don't need more fossil fuel, what we need is more renewable energy.
Shut up.
But I strongly support, I can guarantee you, if I'm president, there will be no offshore drilling. And I extend the moratorium. I think it should be basically a permanent moratorium.
That's it. No more drilling. Now, here's the thing. The eco-Nazis, they want you to think It's about your double wheel pickup truck and gasoline. Let me tell you something. That's a byproduct of the most important substance to humanity. Oil is the foundation of every brick, of every roof tile, of everything in your life, even your fancy shirts. It's the substance of everything. This one policy. Let's say you're a never Trumper. Let's just say you're a never Trumper, and you've given up your hope on the babies. You agree, let's kill the babies like all the Democrats, and you say, we'll vote Democrat this time. Do you understand what you're doing to everything? Everything we know will quadruple in prices. 312-642-5600. I went long. Josh is mad. Too bad.
From AM 560 to the campaign trail, Steve Cortez is on special assignment with the Trump campaign. But don't worry, he'll be back after the election right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for a pivotal role at her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology identifies the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Monica did, and that's how she found Lamont, her new project superintendent.
The job is so perfect for me. I had a career breakthrough. I would have never found this job if it wasn't for ZipRecruiter.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists. With ZipRecruiter, we get hiring results.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I'll tell you right now, I'm already getting better results than I anticipated, honestly. This whole thing, really, I did it because I've been thinking about, just how to simplify my life a lot more. So I went ahead and ordered it and started that off right away. I'll just give you one story real quick. I've got a 7-year-old and I'm a 47-year-old. So, so I'm like going, dude, to keep up with that kid, he's just learning to skateboard. And I was a skateboarder since 1980. And this weekend, he had been begging me all week to prove to him that I could do a kickflip, because he's 7 years old and he really hasn't seen Daddy be an active guy. He's, I do all that at work, and when I come home, I'm exhausted. I'm driving trucks, I'm lifting steel, I'm doing all this stuff. This weekend, we had a birthday party. I had to haul a whole bunch of pallets to the back of the house because I was using them for projects and stuff, and do a bunch of other things before everybody showed up. And all of a sudden, I'm outside skateboarding with my son, and I'm doing kickflips and other tricks I haven't done in 20 years. And I get done with all that and still go and move the furniture, come back to the party, entertain till 10 o'clock at night, get up the next morning early, kept going all day long, and I'm back at work today. And I'm like, this isn't me. This is who I used to be, but this isn't me. I'm like, maybe I need to change my language now. This is me. What I have been for a while has not been the real me. So it's amazing what the body can do when it's fed the right thing, It just can heal itself. You don't need to be doing all the going to the doctors and doing all that stuff and wearing braces. I'm pretty sure this is normal. It's just that we've lived so abnormal in our society for so long.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
AM 560. The Answer.
Yeah. All right, I am, I'm basically a caller. I got a soft spot for the callers. We got callers on the line. I'm going to take your calls, but we're going to expand upon this over the next couple days. This stupidity, the foolishness, and the actual history of what Biden's economics really are. And I'm telling you right now, boys and girls, you want to be like the Venezuelans right now, which are, by the way, they're out of the news. You realize what's going on there is a crime to humanity. That was once a rich, great nation. And all they did was adopt a little bit of these idiots like Arnie Duncan. Right, Mike, on the north side?
You got it, buddy. I got the perfect story for you. My ex-wife was a teacher at James Ward School at 27th and Princeton. The principal, Sharon Wiltshire. she found out that there were two people on her payroll making $130,000 a year, and this is when he was the superintendent. She's never met these people. They were ghost payrollers belonging to HDO. She emailed him, the head of payroll, and the head of education. They didn't get back to her. So then she emailed again saying, my lawyer and I are going to the FBI this week to report it. All of a sudden, Arnie Duncan comes. He's got the Chicago media in tow. He wants to give her an award for doing a great job. She pushed him off the stoop and said, you're not an educator. He doesn't have a degree in education. You don't have a parent here. She told him to get his skinny white ass out of her school or he was going to be locked up, and she shut the door.
Huh.
But
I didn't know he was skinny.
Arnie Duncan, yeah.
Does it really surprise you how many of these guys, and you know, Mike, this is another thing that goes unsaid, how many ghost payrollers are still there? How many guys have retired, never even knew where they were supposed to work? It's just a despicable situation, brother.
And it gets worse and worse. It got worse under the 9.5-digit dwarf, and it's even worse now under the angry dwarf.
I'll tell you. Well, Mike, you enlightened me this phone call because I would have bet 20 you were divorced also. So thank you very much. Tell your ex-wife we all understand. Thank you. And let's go to Mike in Crown Point.
Hey, how you doing?
Wonderful.
I just wanted to comment on the climate change things. I'm an engineer. I've studied this thing for the last 40 years, going all the way back to the guys in the 70s who were predicting a global freeze and starvation.
Yeah, I still got my moon boots.
You know, if you had a magic wand, I'll give you just for statistics. The current concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere is about 498 parts per billion. If you had a magic wand and you eliminated all the CO2 produced by human efforts, it would drop to 496. So we're going to turn the world upside down to drop 2 or 3 points.
Yeah,
it's insane nonsense.
I remember John Coleman, God rest his soul. He was a brilliant guy, and I remember when he did that whole matchbooks in the end zone. Thank you, by the way, very much for the phone call. But you see, the thing is, it's like anything else. The facts will not deter the tyrants. That's the saddest part. Matt, we got about a minute in Carpentersville.
Yeah, I just wanted to say we gotta really try to work on the consequences of people starting fires and doing all stuff, and they just don't have any consequences, so they can get away with it. We've got to figure out a way to get the law to do something for us.
The big one was started at a reveal the sex of the baby party. Are you kidding? I mean, I feel terrible for the guy, but what the hell are you thinking? Did you get these Chinese fireworks? What the hell are you doing? It's a baby. You can't just say boy or girl anymore. You have your mother come over, a little blue balloon, pink balloon. What the hell is wrong with people? You just saved about what? I don't know, about 850,000 acres. Thank you, Matt, for the phone call. And then what's the penalties for the guy? Here he is. How's dad? Kid won't know the dad for the first 30 years of his life. It's a terrible, terrible thing. I remember they charged that kid as an adult. But, here's the other thing. This one that's burning through Oregon, I've been doing a little research on it. They found bodies at where they know that the fire started. Can you imagine if it's like those PETA people who do destruction because they want attention to it? I'll tell you, there's some of that going on. We're living among some evil, stupid people. Evil and stupid. Not just a good name for a boat. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much.